Mande. I soselimande. Likabroske suvina hata. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Thank you. So let's explore. How does Turk connect to Mystery Babylon? Who is Islam? The Islamic Kaaba, this is the Kaaba, they call the Kaaba stone, or the Kaaba that has the Kaaba stone as the cornerstone. It's a great privilege for them to make the pilgrimage to go and circle around this stone 7 times. And it has that stone which is a meteorite that fell from heaven, the star that fell from heaven. And we know the star that fell from heaven. That star is Lucifer. They deify that star and they go and kiss that star, that stone. So it's a privilege for them to make the pilgrimage to go and kiss the stone. Now it may interest you to know that there is also another religion that propagates pilgrimages. Which religion is that? Catholicism. They have too many similarities. Both of them don't allow evangelism. Both of them don't allow evangelism. Both of them don't allow. You notice their women dress similar. They both count beads. Okay, yes. Okay, so I know this is delicate, so there's a reason why I'm showing you this. There's a reason why, and you will see why. Because there's something that is going to happen on this planet that you will be surprised what will be demanded of the true Christian. Okay, so what is the origin of Turk? All right, thank you. Muhammad Mustafa was born in 570 AD, died in 532 AD. Caliph of Umar became Caliph in blah 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 blah. Let's read. Let me jump to where it's most important and help you understand. Muhammad married Khadija, who was a Roman Catholic. Take note. Muhammad married Khadija, who was a Roman Catholic, when he was 25 years and she was 40. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Good. So he married her when he was 25 and she was 40 and she was a Roman Catholic. So that's the reference from where I got that information. Her cousin was called Barakwa and was a Roman Catholic Meccan. The most famous of Muhammad's four daughters, blah 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 blah. Let me jump to where it's important. Muhammad was visited by Gabriel in a cave on the certain mountain, Mount Hira, in 610 AD. At age 40, Muhammad said, Satan touches every son of Adam the day his mother buried him. Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. He said, save only Mary and her son. So it's only Mary and her son that Satan does not touch, according to you. Only Mary and her son that Satan does not touch. Muhammad fled to Medina and blah 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 blah, died, marched in Mecca in 638, 2 years before he died, and 4 years before Umar became Caliph. So what are the symbols of Turk? The symbols of Turk is the sickle moon and the star. Take note. Sickle moon and the star. Now, what worship is, if you want to, the way we do worship, or the way worship is supposed to be, is that you exalt the symbol of a deity, right? When you exalt the symbol of the deity, then you make sacrifice under the symbol, then you bow to that symbol in front of your sacrifice. That's the perfect example of worship. That's why in Revelation, God is exalted, the 24 elders and the angels are seated around his throne, right? And when he manifests his glory, they bow. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Okay. So the single moon and the star. Let's see what this symbol means. What Allah has been plunging into the moon. The sun plunging into the moon. Remember I told you about Nimrod? That he plunged into the moon, his mother, and Tammuz came out. Okay? So the same symbol here. This one is a star, but one thing you need to know that the sun is also a star. It's just the only star in the solar system. So whether they use the star or the sun, it makes no difference. That's this from ancient Mesopotamia during the time of Nimrod Kush. In Egypt, we see the same symbol. Are you seeing that round stuff? In Egypt, the same moon was plunging into, or the sun was plunging into the moon. This was in Egypt, the all-seeing eye of Horus. In Egypt, you also see that thing that woman is wearing on her head. That's the same symbol. The cow head showing the moon, the sun plunging into the moon. I want to show you the religion that they all try to force all of us to worship. Later on. That's what I'm trying to show you now. The symbol is most prominently found in Egypt mythology. You see it everywhere there. All right. So from Egypt, are you seeing that symbol? That symbol is a symbol of the moon plunging into the womb, or the sun plunging into the womb of the moon and coming out. So we have that symbol right from Egypt. There you have it also, but this time a serpent was coiled around it from ancient Egypt. You see the early pharaohs had the serpent in front of their crowns, showing that their wisdom is coming from the serpent. Their wisdom comes from the serpent. That's why the serpent was always on their crowns. Okay, so the papacy has exactly the same symbol. Let's see how. After Mass, the bread is placed in a monstrance which has the symbol of the moon. If you look inside that monstrance, you will see a moon symbol. You will see a symbol, that half gold stuff you are seeing there. That's the symbol of that moon that the sun plunges into. So that thing he's holding is the sun. When he finishes Mass and prays, he will now put it inside that monstrance, the sun going inside the moon. It's a very naughty picture. But I'll tell you what it means as we proceed. If you look at this monstrance very well, you will see the same thing. There is that mark inside it. He places the bread on it. This is another monstrance where the bread will be placed after Mass. They will place it inside. Now, that symbol looks like this somehow. Cow head, right? If we remove this ark, it's the cow head with the sun plunging into the moon. And this symbol is called Taurus. So what is the meaning of this symbol? What is the meaning of Taurus? In astrology, it's the bull head. Now, which people used to worship the bull? It's the bull head, okay? Which people used to worship the bull? Egypt. Remember, it was in Egypt they worshipped the bull that the children of Israel, when they migrated and did not see Moses, they said, make us that bull. We used to see them worship in Egypt. And they started to bow to it. Bow to it. So do we still have the bull worship today? I want to show us some things. The Arabian word Aldebaran means the foremost or leading star. And it could only have been so named when it did precede or lead all others. The year then opens with sun, Taurus, and multitude of ancient sculptures both in Assyria and Egypt, wherein the bull appears with a lunate, a crescent horn, and a disk of the sun between them, are direct allusions to the important festival of the first new moon of the year. And there was everywhere annual celebration of the festival of the first new moon, when the year opens with Sol. Sol means the sun. Luna means the moon with Taurus. So the crescent discs combined also represent the conjunction of the sun and moon, morals and dogma is where I pick this from. The Pope today is the representative of the Babylonian religion. The Pope today is the representative of the Babylonian religion. Hence, the reason why the same symbols and practices find full expression in the Catholic Church. So let me show us some things. Similarity similarities of both religions. I want to show us some strong and delicate things. But I don't want to say them. I'll just show us. Then we will realize that I'm correct. Roman Catholic equals Islam. You agree with me? No. Well, let me prove to you. Allow me to prove to you. It's strong. Allow me to prove to you. Origin. Both of them have the same origin. And the origin is from pagan practices of Babylon. From the pagan practices of Babylon. That's where both of them came from. Okay? Is it ready? It is also very important to note that the ancient Babylonian pagan religion is the origin of every single occult group in existence today. Take note of that statement. It's the origin of every single occult group in existence today and the custodian of ancient occult knowledge. And Rome is the seat of the ancient occult knowledge. Rome is the seat of the ancient occult knowledge right from Babylon, from Nimrod's time. They have all the documents of occultism. Catholicism and Islam, they share the same symbols. And these symbols are traceable to the ancient mystery religion of Babylon. And it is the worship of Baal, Satan. I'll show you how. So this was how the Assyrians were depicting the image that today this religion depicts. This is how the Assyrians were depicting this image. You see that? And this is what we have today in that same religion, on that pole. The Assyrians and the Babylonians worship the same thing. I know everything I'm saying is strong. But you understand why I'm saying all these things. So you see the same symbols. You can see that they have many similarities. Many similarities. This is from Assyria. You see the star, you see all those their symbols. You see that pole you just saw from ancient Assyria. What is the difference between the Roman Catholic Church and this other religion? Answer, none. They are one and the same. But then let me prove it to you. The one gave birth to the other. But now, which one first existed? Thank you. Catholic first existed. So if one gave birth to the other, which one gave birth to the other? And I told you something earlier that these people have a system that when they want to do evil, they will create one body and use the body to do the evil. So when you point at them, they'll say, "Is that body that is doing the evil? Is that body, not them?" Alright, so they share very similar symbols. Islamic all-seeing eye is a very common symbol. You see it in, if you see all these guys that drive keke, sometimes you see it in their keke, you see it in their hand. It's a very, very prominent symbol. They don't joke with it. We have the same symbol in the Catholic Church. The all-seeing eye. We haven't got time for me to explain what this all-seeing eye is. That's the symbol you also see in the American dollar bill. So you see Islam. Here in this Catholic Church, they even made their cathedral look like this symbol. And this symbol you are seeing here is symbol of the compass and square of the Freemasons. Then they put that all-seeing eye somewhere on top here. That's a Roman Catholic cathedral. That's the same symbol you see on the American dollar bill with the all-seeing eye on it. And that symbol represents the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye of Satan himself. Notice that there is a space somewhere on that pyramid. Under it is written Novo Ordo Seclorum, which means New World Order. Under it means New World Order. I have some very strong things to say. Now, Masonic author. Let's hear what a Masonic author said. You know who the Freemasons are? You can study about Freemasons. It's an occult group. The ones that control most of the things that happen everywhere in the world. Control every sector. Masonic author Carl Claudius writes, "This is one of the oldest and the most widespread symbol denoting God. We find it in Egypt, in India. The eye of Egypt represents Osiris. In India, Shiva is represented by an open eye. Remember I told you that everywhere this religion takes different names, but it's one and the same. In Egypt, this eye is called the eyes of Osiris. You see it in Egyptian mythology there. So you can check all the sources. The all-seeing eye is an important symbol of the supreme being, borrowed by the Freemasons from the nations of antiquity. On the same principles, the Egyptians represent Osiris, their chief deity, by the symbol of an open eye, and placed the hieroglyphics of him in all their temples. So this symbol has been here from the time of Nimrod down to the time of Egypt, and now that same symbol is finding expression in the major religions that we know in the world. And that symbol is a symbol of paganism. So what are these religions worshiping? It's the eye of Lucifer. That's the source there. Alright, so to the ancient Egyptians, the right eye symbolizes the sun, the left eye the moon. Alice Bailey. Some of you may know Alice Bailey. Anybody know Alice Bailey here? Good. You must have read about Alice Bailey. She was a protege to the number one greatest occult woman on earth. The woman's name is Madame Helena Blavatsky. Blavatsky founded what the occult society we call the Theosophical Society. And this Alice Bailey was the person who was publishing her occultic writings under the name of a company called Lucifer's Trust. That's the name of her company. So when people started complaining about the name, she now changed it to Lucy's Trust. No difference. That's why sometimes you hear some musicians, some secular musicians sing. They want to say Lucifer, but they know it will sound somehow. They will say Lucy inside their song. And you will think they are talking about Lucy that is a girl. No. Okay. Alright. Remember, Shiva is the Indian god who is equivalent to Osiris. Shiva is also synonym for Satan. So Shiva is also represented by that eye, and Shiva is a synonym for Satan. And that woman that I called Helena Blavatsky, she is the one that wrote this. Now, who is Baal? Our Western brothers will call him Baal. We call him Baal. Who is Baal? And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Moloch. So they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Baal, is also called Moloch, which I commanded them not. Neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to say. This is Jeremiah prophesying now. Jeremiah chapter 32 verse 35. Are we tired? Are we together? Okay. They had built pagan shrines to Baal. This is another translation, NLT. They had built pagan shrines to Baal in the valley of Ben Hinnom, and there they sacrificed their sons and their daughters to Moloch. I have never commanded such a horrible deed. It never even crossed my mind to command such a thing. What an incredible evil, causing Judah to sin greatly. So, causing their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire. When you read it in the Bible, it means they sacrificed their children to Baal. Did you notice that Baal depicted here is a cow head? And the Egyptians, that's what they worship. And we have those symbols today. I will show you some things. So this is how they used to make worships to Baal. When maybe they have done evil and God forsake them, and they have suffered and they have suffered and they have suffered, and they want some prosperity, they will carry their firstborn child to Baal and give Baal. And when they sacrifice, then they begin to prosper. They have built also the high places. When the Bible says high places, it's talking about pagan sites where they make human sacrifices. If you read your Bible and see high places, they have built also high places of Baal to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spoke it, neither came into my mind. Jeremiah chapter 19 verse 5. They even sacrificed their own sons and daughters in the fire. They consulted fortune tellers and practiced sorcery and sold themselves to evil, arousing the Lord to anger. So these were the things that they do in worshiping Baal. Who is Baal? Whenever the Israelites made one of their almost periodic deflation to idolatry, Baal seems to have been their favorite idol, to whose worship they dedicate themselves. Let me jump that. Now, the phallus. What is this symbol? This is a symbol of Baal. You will see these things show up later in the future, these symbols will show up. You will just see certain things start showing up. And you will notice the church is being asked to do them. You will be surprised. That's why I'm bringing this teaching. What's the symbol of the phallus? This symbol is a very naughty symbol. This is what the Bible calls... Okay, let's proceed. I'll tell you what it means. Now this is a symbol. You see it in Vatican City, in front of Mystery Babylon there. This thing, the Egyptians were the ones who built it, and the writings on it are made with Egyptian hieroglyphics. And they transported this one from Egypt to put it here. That symbol is the symbol of a male phallus, a male generative organ. That's what that symbol means. That is the symbol of Isis in Egypt. So when Osiris died, Isis kept that symbol to bear Horus, which is the one I told you about when I mentioned that Nimrod died. That's the symbol of Nimrod. And Semiramis bore Tammuz. So you see that symbol there in Vatican City. This symbol is appearing in many places in the world. Many places of worship in the world. Many places. You have it in Babylon, you have it in New York, the center of witchcraft. One of the centers of witchcraft in the world, New York. You have it in London, you have it in Vatican, you have it in Washington, D.C. Now that's the same symbol. You find it in what we call the Luxor Temple in Egypt. That Luxor Temple is the temple where the Egyptians worship all their pagan gods. And they had this symbol in front of the Luxor Temple. It was a pagan temple. And how they worship their pagan gods is that they worship those pagan gods by practicing homosexual practices. So when they are trying to force the world to accept homosexual practices, it's not that they are fighting a person's rights. They are trying to restore something that is an ancient practice. That's the same thing you find in Vatican City. Now, if you look at this circle, I said it last time I taught. This circle looks like the womb of a woman. I'm sorry if you're seeing anything there that you don't like. And then that male generative part plunges into the symbol of the woman, just like the way the moon plunges into, or the sun plunges into the moon. So, this is the architecture of the Catholic Church, the one you're seeing there. And this symbol is paganism. This is from Shiva Lingam. Somewhere, is it in India now? This is a pagan temple, and that's exactly what they reproduce in the Catholic Church. With that, I will show you some things. Now, if you go inside, you see the symbol. I told you that the symbol shows that the man is entering into the woman, and as Osiris enters into Isis, the Catholic Church is born. That's why when you are coming in, you see the symbol there. Osiris enters into Isis, and the Catholic Church is the product. So it's an ancient pagan practice. If you go inside, if you look outside there, you will see some lines. Those lines are solar blazers. They are symbols of the sun. If you go inside the church, this is Vatican City, St. Petersburg, Vatican. If you enter inside, you see exactly the same symbols you are seeing outside, inside. Solar blazers. The arrangement is the same. Are you seeing how? And then you see these interesting black and white checkered boxes. All these things you are seeing here have symbolisms that I'll show you. Have you watched secular musicians do music videos, and you watch their videos, and on the ground you are seeing black and white boxes? Have you watched those kind of music videos? You are seeing black and white boxes. Those boxes are boxes of paganism. They are symbol of Lucifer himself. And in Luciferianism, white is black, black is white. So St. Petersburg is using those checkered boxes also. That woman I spoke about, Helena Petrova Blavatsky. Now we have but one. Now we have but to remember that Shiva, which is Shiva, the Palestinian Baal or Moloch, and Saturn are identical. They are one and the same. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 5. Instead, this is what you must do to them. You must tear down their altars, shatter their sacred pillars. Are you seeing the name that the Bible is calling this thing? This is the name that the Bible is calling this thing. shatter their sacred pillars. You must tear down their altars and shatter their sacred pillars, burn up their sacred Asherah poles. Asherah is from the word Ashtoreth or Ashtaroth. Ashtaroth is that woman I call Semiramis. So Nimrod is worshipped as Baal, Semiramis is worshipped as Ashtoreth. You know what I'm saying? All these things. They will bring you 10 commandments, they will bring you Bible, new worship system, and you will be saying these things. As we proceed in this way. So God said they should burn down these poles. They should burn them down and cut down the images of their gods. You must eliminate their very memory from that place. They even built for themselves high places, sacred pillars, and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every green tree. So you see sacred pillars there. So that means this thing is not something that is today. They've been doing it, and it's an ancient pagan practice, and God hates it. They set up sacred pillars and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every green tree. 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 10. Now, Balenciaga or Balenciaga. Balenciaga is the name of a brand, right? And most people like it. Because they know that people will know that it's Baal worship. They removed one A and made it Balenciaga, one A. But when they were doing their advert campaign, they wanted to show the world that there's something they're hiding. So in this tape, they wrote the double A. Balenciaga. I'll show you a few things. Now, this is the depiction of Balenciaga by many people who began to revolt, who began to protest, stand up for our children. Why? Balenciaga began to do some ad campaigns. Some of you may have watched it. Some ad campaign that they use children, show some symbols, some strange things. I'll show you a video. Okay, now please help me play this video. We have audio, right? No, don't worry. This one is okay. Play the video. We need to have audio. We'll round up very soon. Are you blessed? Okay, it looks like some of us are scared. Truth is hard.
Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the Truth Talk podcast. I'm back here with Jay.
What up, everyone?
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Balenciaga ad. Let's get right into it. Balenciaga is in hot water due to an advertisement campaign they released for their 2023 spring collection. The ad campaign displays a child standing in front of a few questionable objects. What makes the photo appear even more strange is the look that's on the child's face. He appears uncomfortable and out of place while holding what appears to be a stuffed bear in inappropriate attire. When we look at this photo, we once again see the moon crescent, and like I have said before, occultists love using moon imagery as they believe the moon provides them with spiritual energy. This is called moon magic, and we can even see the same moon crescent on the photo of Baphomet. Just like in the Baphomet photo, there are moon crescents on each side. Wiccans see moon magic as something a part of sympathetic magic, where they believe like attracts like. They also believe that the timing of rituals should be done in tune with the energies of Earth. Occultists see the moon as a source of dark magic. This is the reason why the moon crescent is being displayed on this ad photo. On top of this, we see what appears to be two dragons, which represent the beast, placed on each side of the child, both pointing in the child's direction. We can also see a white rabbit that represents magic. Even to this day, in every magician's magic show, they have the trick where they pull a white rabbit out of a hat. There's a reason for this, as the rabbit has symbolized magic for years. The pagans used to see the rabbit as a magical animal who can cross the spiritual boundaries, being able to travel to the spiritual world and back. This is the reason we often see the white rabbit imagery everywhere. They are clearly showing us that the young kids are being used for ritual offerings, something we already spoke about when we spoke about the Kid Willie cult situation. There are red flags all over this campaign, which I find extremely disturbing. On this channel, we have spoken about the pagan fallen gods on many occasions, how they they required ritual offerings for blessings. The Celtics used to make ritual offerings to the gods for many different reasons. They were even known to offer up their firstborn child on Samhain, which is now known as Halloween. This is what I am seeing from this ad, especially after I saw this video floating around, where a person noticed that one of the rolls of tape in the Balenciaga photo appears to contain a misspelling. Balenciaga is normally only spelled B-A-L, but for some reason, they decided to spell it B-A-A-L. This was not done for no reason. B-A-A-L actually spells the name of one of the fallen gods the pagans used to sacrifice to. Baal was a deity who required sacrifices for fertility blessing. People were also noticing they were showing 4 different tape colors that coincidentally just so happened to be the same 4 colors of the horsemen of the apocalypse. We have been seeing this apocalypse imagery all year, starting with Beyonce's 4 horsemen photo. This photo is openly showing us that young kids are being used for ritual magic. We have to remember that this is all being done for a reason. This is all happening during the harvest. We just spoke about all the people that ended up passing in the season of fall, which were so many people. We saw PNB Rock, we saw Takeoff, we saw all these incidents happen during this season of fall. Just like we saw last year with the Astrofest that also happened during the season of fall. You know, there's a specific reason they dropped this ad during this time, right before Thanksgiving. They did this on purpose because Thanksgiving represents giving thanks for those sacrificed for the good harvest. They're showing us exactly what they're doing. This ad represents what's going on in the industry, and in Mason fashion, they're putting it right in our faces and laughing at us.
I mean, it was honestly disturbing, like you said. The first thing that came to mind was, why are they putting children in these situations? Like, you look at the kid's face and they looked disturbed and troubled, and sure, they might be child actors, but I read online some of these actors were like 3 years old. When we're talking about a 3-year-old, they shouldn't be in that type of position, because you look at some of the props they had in that ad, and they were dressed inappropriately, if you ask me, you know? No 3-year-old should be subject to that, despite them being child actor or not. It's also just like kind of what you mentioned a second ago. It's a slap in the face. They're laughing at you. They're literally putting all this stuff right there for everyone to see and saying like, yeah, what are you going to do about it, you know? And if I'm not mistaken, I know I read somewhere too, in one of the ads, there was some documents. In those documents, it was some writings from a court ruling that had to do with freedom of speech and art. So again, it was kind of like they were exploiting these things for their own personal gain.
We can't talk about that specific part on here because it goes against YouTube's community guidelines, but I am planning on making a second part to this video that would be available on my Patreon. So if you're one of my patrons, you can look out for that. From here to the end of the month, it should definitely be uploaded. I'm going to be working on it right after this one. This one is specifically made for you guys on YouTube. So if you guys don't see us cover a few things or we skip over a few things, we're doing it because we have to, so that this video won't be taken down or flagged. It makes perfect sense though when you think about it. The way that so many people are picking up on it right now, like I said, they're putting it in the open, and I don't think they care if we talk about it at this point because no one is doing anything to them. They might be all over the news, but I'm pretty sure it's not really going to have any long-lasting negative effect on their brand or on them. This is a company that's supported by the ultra rich who already support this kind of behavior. They don't really care about what us poor people think. This company isn't depending on the average Joe to go spend money on them. This is a high-end luxury brand that sells things for millions, and this is why they're catering to this type of imagery. This imagery isn't made for me and Jay. Me and Jay don't shop at Balenciaga, but the people that they advertise to are the ultra rich, are the celebrities, are the rappers, are the pop stars, are the actors and the actresses who are already a part of this world. This is why we see so much occultic, Masonic, satanic imagery within this one photo. The teddy bear alone and the kid's face, if you see it, the kid looks disturbed. But yes, I understand if it's acting, it could definitely be acting, but the thing is, this is the image that they wanted to put out. They wanted us to see it in this way. When you take into consideration the dragon on each side aiming towards the child, and then you see the child surrounded by occultic images, by the moon crescent that represents occultic magic, and then we see the white rabbit that represents being able to travel from the spiritual world and back. This is a ritual offering that they're showing us. This child obviously isn't the one, but this is what it symbolizes.
One thing that really stood out to me was the rolls of tape. Like you said, this is extremely wealthy company and attention to detail is their thing. But you're going to tell me that somehow, some way, they let a misspelling of their company name happen in one of their premier ad campaigns? I don't see it. Like you said, it totally seems intentional, and they're trying to get their message across right in front of your face. They know what message they're trying to say. And you said it best just now too, where like they're not advertising to you and to me. They're advertising to their elites, the ones that buy their clothes on the regular, that buy their products on the regular. that's who they're trying to talk to. But to me, that really stood out, the whole thing with the roll of tape.
That's actually one of the most important things because they're displaying a child. This deity, this Baal, they were known to offer him children for ritual offerings. If you look up a picture of him, you literally see him with a child in his hand. This is what this symbolizes. You can't just look over this. This is a company that millions of dollars, this is an ad that probably cost them millions of dollars to make. Everybody that we see there is getting paid. They would definitely notice before even posting this and putting it out there and making it public. 100 people would have noticed that mistake if it was a mistake, but we know it wasn't. This was done intentionally because they know most people don't even pay attention to details. Most people looked at this picture and saw nothing wrong with it.
It's hiding out in the open. It's right there in your face. It's like the best place to hide is right in front of you. If you don't think anything is wrong, then you won't suspect things. You won't act out. You won't try to stop it because you don't think it's wrong. It's right there, right in front of you. It's crazy. Like everything you say, even like the dragons, what do these beasts have to do in this kind of ad campaign? You know, the whole thing just seems extremely weird and extremely intentional. You said it yourself. This multi-million-dollar company, there's hundreds of people who have to look through things before they get made public. It was all definitely intentional, in my opinion.
Of course, now they're acting like they're backing out. They removed the campaign, but they only removed the campaign after all the drama that I'm pretty sure they knew was going to happen. You can say that they possibly didn't think it would happen, but I still think they did. There's nothing that's really going to happen to Balenciaga. Balenciaga isn't going to cease to exist because they made this mistake or they put this out or exposed too much to the people. No, this is going to be swept under the rug and they're going to continue to make millions of dollars. The problem is it shows that most people don't care, but the truth is right in this picture. The people who run our world are using not just young kids, but all types of people for ritual offerings, and they have been. The world that we live in is ran by occultists. Pictures like this just reinforces that. The point that you clearly made. What would be the reason of putting all of this in an ad that is to sell clothes to adults too? They're not selling children clothing, they're selling adults clothing.
You know, absolutely right. Like, why are kids in an ad campaign for adults? That doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm looking at clothes and I want someone to advertise them to me, I don't want children modeling those clothes. It just doesn't sit right with me, you know? Makes me feel a certain kind of way that's not good. It's like what you said, ritual offerings. This is their form of a ritual offering. Everything from the beast on the wall to the crescent moon to the misspelling of the logo on the tape roll. Everything points towards just that. It's not coincidental that Ball is included on the roll of tape in an ad with children and a bunch of questionable props. It's all too convenient, and I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. It's definitely their form of a ritual offering.
Even with the white rabbit, that I found very interesting when I was researching it, because even as a child, when I saw rabbits, I thought of a magician. Instantly, that was the first thought that came to my mind, the rabbit out of the hat trick. And to think that since pagan times, they've seen the rabbit as this magical creature who can travel from both dimensions and back. Just think about how many times you've seen this white rabbit imagery and not even realized it. They were pointing towards the occult. This is literally just an ad full of occultic images. That's really what it is. It all connects and points to one thing. The ritual offerings that is done to these deities, like Baal and Baphomet and Moloch. These are the deities that throughout times, they have been making offerings for demonic blessings. And this is what the people that run our world believe in. Whether you believe in this or not really doesn't matter, because the people that run our world, they do. They meet up in lodges, they perform rituals, they believe in magic, they believe in spiritual energy that comes from the moon. They believe in all these things. It doesn't matter if you don't, because they're the ones with the money, they're the ones with the power, they're the ones that make our world go round. Most people are just playing along with their game. They put this photo out. Most people, they don't even know what it is about. But when you look into it, they do this. They pull it off and everything is fine. No one gets in trouble. It's obvious what we're seeing with this photo. And it's just a sad case that no one really does anything about this. After something like this, people shouldn't shop at Balenciaga anymore. But it doesn't matter, because who promotes Balenciaga? The richest people, you know, the celebrities, the people everybody wants to be like. And it just shows the people that are even making their clothing are a part of their system. They are self-serving. Everything that they build up is within them. There's a reason why they own the entire industry, not just the music industry. They own fashion, they own entertainment with Hollywood. It's all the same symbolism no matter where we turn.
You're right. The message is consistent. No matter where you look, there's some way, shape, or form. And like you've been mentioning since the beginning, it's always right in your face. It's right in front of you where you can see it. You just have to open your eyes and look.
You guys have to question this yourselves. Most of you guys sent this to me on your own because you saw it and you instantly knew that this was wrong. It's become easier for you guys to notice things like this, but I can see that most of you guys are noticing things a lot more because more and more of you keep on sending me things like this when they happen. You guys are no longer blind and you guys are realizing and seeing the truth for yourselves. And this was a perfect example of this.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The average person that looks at this ad, they'll say, oh, it's an ad campaign and it looks provocative. It looks like, it's artistic, but most of us know that it's much more than that.
The industry does the same thing repeatedly for a reason. They've shown us time and time again through their movies and their shows what they're into. We saw with the whole Epstein situation. That whole thing, he was protected for years before he even got arrested and got caught. That's an open sign to me. Why was he allowed for so many years to do so much evil before he got caught? Same thing I saw with R. Kelly. R. Kelly was known since the 2000s. He was even in a court case, a famous court case, for doing something very disgusting and inappropriate that was on camera, and somehow he was still released, still allowed to continue to do his evil for almost 20 more years. That should just open so many people's eyes. Advertisements like this prove that our children, we need to keep them close. We need to teach them to stay safe in this world. This is what's scary to me, being a father. These people depend on children. This is what they do. They've been doing it for centuries. They've been doing it for so long. And we even see this with the Masons and the Shriners. The Masons, time and time again, you can see them so almost obsessed with children. They tend to say that they're just doing charity for them. But if you look into the Masons, they're known occultists. They love doing rituals. They love practicing occultic magic. So put two and two together. They're always around children. Crowley spoke about using magic with children. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace out, everyone.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to the Truth Movement members. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you'd like to further support the channel, join the Truth Movement, or you can join me on Patreon, where I drop exclusive videos monthly. The link would be in the description. Another way you can further support the channel is by checking out the Truthfist store and seeing if you find anything you like. Every purchase you make helps with the funding of Truth Records. The link to the Truthfist store is also in the description. Also, please leave a comment on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. If you like this video, please leave a like, as it helps other people find these videos. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram and follow me there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
You see, this brand is used to promote Baal worship. That thing you see them talking about, we don't have the time. I would have shown you videos upon videos. So you see different adverts that they did, depicting a child holding all those things with the dragon, with the crescent moon and all of those things, showing that Balenciaga is all about child sacrifice to Baal. And there's a reason why they are doing that. Now, what is the difference between this Baal of ancient times and the Baphomet that Illuminati worship today? No difference. How many people know about Baphomet here? This image goat head with. You don't know about Baphomet? Go and study about Baphomet. The Arch of Palmyra. I want to talk about Baal worship now. This arch you see here, this triple arch, this was the arch they used to put in the temple of Baal when they worship Baal. You pass through this arch and enter in, then you go and do sacrifice. This is what the Syrians, this is what they were doing. They want to worship Baal, they pass through this arch. Now it so happened in 2016 that ISIS attacked them. They were having a war with ISIS, and ISIS broke this arch, destroyed this arch, which was a symbol of Baal. Now let's see what happened. The arch of Baal. Now Americans now stood up and said, why did Syria destroy this arch? That this arch represents something that is very significant to them and to the culture of the whole world. So they now went and simulated this arch and came and put it in America. And they now made a law that they should put this arch in every major city in the world. This is the arch of Baal. And this arch represents child sacrifice because they worship Baal using child sacrifice. If you have not brought a child to sacrifice, you are not worshiping Baal. So this arch was put in New York City, the center, in front of the center for abortion in New York City. Center for abortion. And abortion, you think it's just that you just kill a baby because you don't want the baby. No. They legalized it because they know it's sacrifice to Baal. That's why they made it legal. So they put this arch there that represents Baal. And they now put it also in Washington, D.C., just before you enter the White House. So this was the unveiling of the arch. This will be a video. This is a video. Please play it.
It is with great, great pleasure, therefore, that I hereby unveil the oldest new structure in the history of this city. Ladies and gentlemen, the Triumphal Arch of Palmyra. 3, 2, 1.
But also, of course, we want also to show defiance of the know-nothing nihilist maniacs who tore it down. This thing stood for 2,000 years. Everybody came and invaded or conquered that part of the world. The Greeks, Alexander the Great, the Romans, you name it, the Christians, the Muslims. No one until Daesh, so-called Islamic State, thought it was worth demolishing. And how pitiful, how pathetic, how inadequate they must be.
Well, when folks destroy heritage objects and put videos on YouTube of that destruction, that's sending a powerful message. It's a message of censorship. It's a message that says we're removing things from the marketplace of ideas because we have a different idea about what history should be. And the reality is nobody should have that right. In a democracy, nobody has that right. And the appropriate response is to restore the object to the marketplace of ideas so folks can enjoy it, can think about it, so it can have its rightful place in the historical record.
It's the joining of technologies to be able to have taken something in a 3D sense digitally, but then to reproduce something in what is traditionally such a hand worked medium, such as stone, is just blows your mind, really. It's just such a great melding of technology and old school craft.
It's nothing like the real thing. It's nice that it's here and people thinking about Palmyra. I was there before all the destruction occurred, and it really is heartrending to see what's happening. It's sheer ignorance, basically.
And then the harbingers appeared in America. So could the sign of Baal that accompanied the harbingers in ancient times come to America, identifying America as the nation in wholesale apostasy and progressing to judgment? The answer will be revealed with a yes. But there is a precursor of what I'm going to share with you today. Remember, one of the signs of Baal was the manifestation of an image of a bull. The image of a bull in molten metal. Baal was the god of increase and gain. During America's departure from God, an image was set up in New York City in the heart of its financial section, the place devoted to gain. It was this. You can put that up. In the Bible, an image of a molten bull was an image of Baal. And it was linked, whether bull or calf, was linked to the departure of a nation from God. So it was to represent, of course they didn't intend that, though they never do, but that's what it is. It was to represent a nation's prosperity, America's financial power, gain, increase, which was also a symbol, was linked to Baal, a nation turning away from God. Could there have been even a more precise sign linked to Baal in America? Again, it would seem to go against the odds. Would anything linked to an ancient Canaanite god, long hidden in the dust, appear in America? A god that most people don't even know about unless they read the Bible. But now the sign of Baal has manifested on American soil, the harbinger of Baal. It took place less than 2 weeks from when I'm doing this message ago. It was originally planned for last spring. There was an uproar that may have caused it, we don't know, to be canceled. This time it happened almost in secret, it seemed. A month before, a little announcement appeared, little fanfare, that something was going to happen in New York City. So we went down. The sign of Baal, a recreation of something that stood in the Middle East, literally from the Middle East, in the Middle Eastern ancient city of Palmyra, a major center of Baal worship, a city that had two major main temples of Baal, one called the Temple of Baal Shamim or Baal Shamim, the Baal of the heavens, the other called the Temple of Bel, or just another name, or the Temple of Baal, same word, another version or rather of his name. In the middle of the two temples of Baal stood an ancient arch, the arch by which the worshipers of Baal would enter through, the arch by which they would enter through to approach and worship Baal in the temple of Baal. It was this arch leading to the temple of Baal that was in the center of both, representing both temples. In at least with what happened in New York City, it represented all of it, both temples. It was that arch that led to the Temple of Baal that was erected on American soil on September 19th, 2016. It was unveiled. The ceremony took place in Manhattan, New York City, right outside City Hall, the place of government, in the City Hall Park. As I mentioned, I went down to witness it with Scott Pinto to record. A rainy Monday afternoon. There were some dignitaries there, some media people recording it. A few believers were scattered in the crowd to witness it. The arch was veiled, covered in sheets. That's the arch in the back, covered in sheets. At the base of the arch was a plate that read, Temple of Bel, or meaning Temple of Baal. The plate was right there. That's not a thing from the internet. That has rain on it. That was right at the side of that arch. To accompany the unveiling, they were playing Middle Eastern music by which one could imagine could be played at the worship of Baal. And here it was, New York City, where there were two speakers, one a man linked to the project doing it, who spoke almost entirely of making a point that the arch to the Temple of Baal, more than any place in the world, belonged in New York City. That New York City was the Palmyra, which was the major center of Baal worship, of the modern world. And it matched, as Baal was linked to the desire for gain, prosperity, fertility. So New York City is the financial capital of the nation. And as Baal was linked to the killing of children, the abortion capital of America is New York City, has been for years, with a higher rate of abortion there than any other place in America. And it was New York that began and initiated the legalization of the killing of the unborn in America. So what more appropriate place could there be for the arch to Baal?
So that's the arch, and that they said it's an arch, just a 2,000 years monument. Why would ISIS destroy it? But you see what he showed on the base of it? What did they write there? Temple of Baal. And we've been talking about Baal. And they want to put this arch everywhere in the major cities of the world. The Arch of Palmyra is a symbol of Baal, who was worshipped with the practice of obscene homosexual rituals and child sacrifice. America by what did I write there? By raising the Arch of Palmyra in New York City identifies with this ancient religious culture and satanic practice. The ancient culture structure was raised in America's Center for Abortion in New York City, where child sacrifice has been legalized for the purpose of sacrificing to Baal and for global depopulation agenda in line with the Georgia Guidestones. So I want to show you something now that may shock you. Have you heard of the Georgia Guidestones before? Okay. These Guidestones are stones that a certain person raised. And on these stones, he wrote what should happen on planet Earth. And planet Earth has been living by what he wrote. So I want to show you some of the writings that are on this Guidestone that may shock you to your bones, so that you will know why certain things are happening around. Okay, if you can see very well, if you can read it, please read. The first instruction there says, maintain humanity under 500 million. Are you seeing it? Are you able to read it? Okay, if you are not able to read it, I'll read it out for you. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Georgia Guidestones. I'll explain. Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. I'll tell you what that means. Protect people and nations with fair laws, not the laws of scripture, fair laws. And just court. This thing sounds nice until you know what it means. Resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Let me show you the writings. Okay. So I will show you the author of these Georgia Guidestones. Then I'll read out the writings, what they said. They said they should maintain humanity under 500 million. So does that explain why sometimes they create a pandemic and send it to us to reduce population? And they will say it came from an animal. Does that explain why there are wars and they kill people? Does that explain why Bill Gates is coming to Africa to reduce people in the name of giving us aid? He was here last month. They came to discuss with Dangote again, and that's the next plan. And that's what I want to tell you now. Another pandemic is coming. Will be worse than the first. It's part of what Bill Gates came to discuss with Dangote. And that pandemic this time is going to be a bacterial infection. It's not going to be a virus. It's easy to deal with a virus. It's not easy to deal with a bacteria. It's going to be worse than the first one. The reason is because the first one that you call COVID-19 was targeted at Africa to reduce Africa. But they were disappointed because Africans didn't die. We had only about 8,000 people that died in Africa. Just a little above 8,000. But in the world, people died a lot. And they wanted to reduce Africa. That's the plan. Because I will show you where the origin of this starts from. Go and study something called eugenics. In eugenics, they say if you see character traits among a species that you don't like, you can eliminate the species to remove the character traits. So that's why blacks are considered to have inferior character traits. So you remove them from the planet. Eugenics started in Egypt when a pharaoh arose and said, these people are mightier than us. Let us reduce them. Let's kill them. They do it in medicine. It's called eugenics. You can go and check it out. So how do you reduce humanity? Bill Gates comes and is giving us some things that they call GMOs. Genetically modified organisms. Right? So they are bringing it to farmers. They say this corn is special corn, is special breed. They created it from the lab and they put something in it to reduce people's life. But they say it's special breed. They bring it and they start sensitizing farmers. Agri people, you have done programs around these things and you felt it was a superior species. You didn't know. They bring it with corn and many other things and fruit. Your agri species come out and they look more plumpy. They are better than our local one that God gave us. but they are genetically modified, created in the lab to reduce the population of Africans. And then men eat it and die. So that men are the ones carrying the gene. That's why there are more women. People eat it and they are reduced, their fertility reduced. Then when they see that for some reason the power of God is still keeping us not working, then they will create one pandemic and bring it. I didn't put other videos because it would be too long. I would have shown you where Bill Gates said it from his own mouth that they want to reduce the world and they are starting from Africa. So he came to visit Dangote last time. You see, Babylon is a very terrible system. Do you think that what is happening now, that the hardship is high, is because Nigeria cannot rule? No, it's a plan. Have you noticed that they are fetching the professionals out of this country? How else will you do it than to make the country to be hard? They are fetching the professionals, especially health workers. So by the time the next pandemic strike, we will not have health workers enough to work, to save people. And they have signed something called a zero draft law. Under the zero draft law, go and check it. World Health Organization have signed the zero draft law. The zero draft law says if a pandemic strikes, World Health Organization have the right to enter your country without your permission and do whatever they want. Without your permission. So last time when the pandemic struck, they wanted to enter Africa and many African presidents said, we no agree. In fact, some of you must have seen how Madagascar president fought them and said no. They come in, World Health Organization, they want to come and save. You don't know they are coming to destroy. So when they saw how Africa withstood them the last time, they now passed that zero draft law. I think it was this year. Preparing for the next pandemic. You will see these things I'm saying. But tomorrow I'll tell you what the righteous should do. So with the zero draft law, World Health Organization can come and destroy and kill as many people as they want. Because COVID didn't kill us. It was like malaria, we quickly found out. Maybe tomorrow if I have the time, I'll show you from the mouth of doctors, videos, doctors. So who was the author of these Georgia Guidestones? All the things I read. They said they should reduce humanity to a population of 500 million. They feel we are too much. Bill Gates said it. Maybe I'll show you the videos tomorrow. He said we are too much on the planet. They want to reduce. So that's why they said they should limit marriage. We read it. So that's why they are bringing gay marriage issues. So if a man marry man, they can't give birth to a child now. Abi? Okay. Who is the author of this Georgia Guidestone? Can you see what is written there? The author is an R.C. Christian. R.C. Christian, a pseudonym. What is R.C. Christian? Who can guess? R.C. Roman Catholic Christian. He was the author. And that Roman Catholic Christian disguise. Pseudonym. What is the meaning of pseudonym? A fictitious name used especially by an author to conceal their identity. So, if somebody writes something and he don't want his identity to be known, he will write pseudonym. So, any writer or reader who reads it knows that this person don't want his identity to be known. But he already wrote it here. That is a R.C. Christian, a Roman Catholic Christian, the person who wrote that Georgia Guidestone. Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? The Antichrist. It was sponsored by a small group of Americans who seek the age of reason. Oh, we haven't got time. I would have told you what reason means here. In the age of reason, you don't bring God. You don't bring God. Everybody is allowed to live by his thinking. That's New Age. That's Mithraism. So they are seeking the age of reason, an age where God is edged out of the picture. But it so happens that we have too many men of God in Africa. Africa is bombarding the world. Are you seeing why God now ran back to Africa and said, please come, let me use you and send you? Are you seeing why? So that's why they are targeting Africa. They have men of God who are still stopping us from bringing the age of reason. So this one was from one dictionary, this definition. This is another definition from another dictionary. A pseudonym, a name of someone used instead of their real name, especially on a written work. So the pseudonym there is the R.C. Christian, the Roman Catholic Christian. Is the one that wrote Guidestones. Let's see. in June of 1979, a man going by the pseudonym of R.C. Christian approached the Alberton, whatever. He approached the person who designed the guy's stone. Let's read further. In 1980, the stones were finished. They carried a tablet in front proclaiming, "Let this be guide stones to an age of reason." Engraved in the stones are 10 guidelines meant to re-establish the planet and society. Did you know that the Pope came out in 2020 and said, "We want to re-educate the world, we want to change education"? After he said it, they started bringing this thing inside textbooks. I told you in elementary school now, you see textbook, dad and dad, mom and mom. I'm taking a walk with mom and mom. I'm having nice time with dad and dad. He came and said, he went to Sinai this year? He went to Sinai with some leaders and said, they don't like the 10 commandments that Moses received. They wanted to go and collect the new 10 commandments that they will use to come and save the planet. Go and read it up. I'm not talking nonsense. He went to Mount Sinai where Moses collected the 10 commandments and said they are bringing new 10 commandments, but this 10 commandments is for saving the planet. Do you now see why the planet is suffering many things? What was one of the signs Jesus gave us? You will see wars. You will see floodings. What you call natural disaster. How can God create a world for human beings and now put natural disaster there? Is it natural? Do you know that flood can be induced? I don't want to touch some things. They are too sensitive. They are too sensitive. When we see these things, we just say they are natural. And without knowledge, all we do is say, "Oh God, help us, oh God." I'll show you what Jesus said. Come tomorrow, you will see what the righteous should do. Okay. They are written in 8 different languages. English, Spanish, Swahili. So the guidestones are written in 8 different languages. Hindi, Hebrew, Aramaic, Chinese, and Russia. And among other commandments, preach too. So this is what the guidestone says. First, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. The Pope is always talking about nature, talking about saving the planet. Rule passion with faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Balance personal rights with social duties. This thing sounds sweet until I tell you the meaning. We haven't got time. Be not a cancer on earth. Leave room for nature. You know why they are saying this, leave room for nature? They will collect everybody's land that they want to leave room for nature. They will collect everybody's land. It will happen. Collect everybody's land. It will now, he will become the ruler, and they will say they want to leave room for nature. So you find out life will become stringent, pushing you towards receiving the mark of the beast. They will globalize the currency. You will no longer have your country's currency. That's why you are seeing an influx of all these cryptos. That's what crypto is all about. That's the system that will help them globalize the currency. So they will globalize the currency. You will start using one currency that is channeled to him. To leave room for nature, they will collect your land, collect your properties. One of the things he said he wants to do is redistribution of wealth, according to that 2020 meeting that he called. What is redistribution of wealth? It means to take from someone who has and give it to somebody who does not have. Another word for it is stealing. It sounds good until you know what it means. Redistribution of wealth means they don't like that there are too many poor people in the world. They want to balance nature, like you say here. They want to balance the world. Now, if you want to deal with poverty, there are 2 ways to deal with poverty. It's either you make the poor rich, or the second way, what do you think? Eliminate the poor. Which one do you think will happen? Okay, so you now understand why I've kept you here till this long. I apologize, but please learn it now. So the guidestones also serve as an astronomical calendar, and every day at noon the sun shone through a narrow slit, blah blah blah. It's written in Babylonian cuneiform. I told you about Babylonian cuneiform, the writings of Nebuchadnezzar. It's also written in classical Greek. It's also written in Sanskrit and Egyptian hieroglyphics. I told you of Egyptian hieroglyphics. Okay, let me try something. Let me just run through so we close. Okay, so this is the Luxor temple that I told you about, where that obelisk was first raised. The sacred pillar that God said they should destroy. This is the Luxor temple. Now, in every of these pagan temples, their pagan practices were completed with sexual perversion. If there's no sexual perversion, it is not a ritual. Every pagan temple you know in the world, there are sexual perversions. When you are doing stuff with somebody you're not supposed to do. So in the Luxor temple, let's see what was said there. Luxor temple is the Egyptians performed the homosexual rituals in this Luxor temple when they worship Isis and Horus. Now, this is archaeological relief of the homosexuals inside the Luxor temple. I have very obscene pictures. I decided not to put them. They are not good to look at from the Luxor temple. So when you go to some museums, you just be looking around. You don't know what those things mean. This in the Luxor temple. Homosexual rituals were happening. Gay prostitutes. So is it a surprise that today they are trying to force gay on us? Is it to repeat something, to engage an altar that has been? So it's no surprise that LGBTQ is now the modern name for the same homosexual practices that were happening in pagan temples as a form of worship to Lucifer. In the new world, LGBTQ is the new word for human rights. I hope you know that. That's the new word for human rights. You saw what happened now. Uganda rejected. They seized aid from them. Kenya rejected. They told them that they would send Al-Qaeda to attack them. You didn't see it online. It was not hidden now. Some of you saw it. They told them they would send Al-Qaeda to attack them because they rejected that they will not legalize it. Americans sent Harris, vice president. Every other country in Africa is rejecting and they are attacking them. If you accept, they'll give you $60 million to help move the gay movement. They cannot give you $60 million to help education. They'll give you $60 million to help the gay movement in Africa. So, it's the new world. Now, let me show you this last video. They started sensitizing children and teaching them what gay means from nursery. So I want you to see the response that some children give. Please play this video for me. How will we explain this to?
As you know, the Supreme Court decision on Friday in favor of same-sex marriage is controversial. Some people just don't like it. They don't believe in it. They don't think it's right. And one of the most common arguments you hear is, how do I explain this to my kids? And it's a good question. At the very least, it's a fair question. You wonder if children are sophisticated enough to wrap their head around something like this. So we went out on the street today to ask kids what they think and what they know. And here they are. Kids share their thoughts on same-sex marriage.
Could you tell me what gay marriage is?
It's when two men and two women get married.
So is it when four people get married?
No.
Could you tell us what gay marriage is?
I know nothing about that yet.
You don't know anything about it? Why would anyone want to get married?
Because they love each other and they just feel a connection, I believe.
Do you think it's a good thing?
Yeah.
Do you know what makes somebody gay?
Yeah.
What?
I got a broken leg.
No.
When should two people get married?
In the afternoon.
That's a good time to get married. Do you know what marriage is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's when a husband and a wife get married.
So what do you think gay marriage is?
When a boy and a boy get married and a girl get married.
Oh, you're right. Do you think that's very hard to understand?
For some kids.
But not for you?
No, not really.
Do you think anybody should be able to get married?
If you're old enough.
Oh, you're very wise. Do you want to get married?
Yes.
When?
When I'm 30.
Why would someone want to get married?
Because they're pregnant.
Because they're pregnant? Could you tell us what gay marriage is?
Where a boy marries another boy.
Okay, and could it be when a girl meets or marries another girl?
No.
Just a boy meeting another boy?
Yeah.
Wow, what would it be called if a girl married another girl?
Lesbianism.
Do you think anybody should be able to get married if they want to?
Yes.
How come?
Well, because if they want to, they should be able to.
Would you want to get married?
Not really.
How come?
Because when you get married, the other person is entitled to any money the other person has.
So it's a financial issue for you?
Yeah.
He's fiscally conservative. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more, click below to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if not, do nothing at all.
Okay, you see, that guy has a financial problem there. Okay, now, they have started teaching them in school. So this man decided to go and find out what if they understand what they are teaching them already. Because the court legalized it, the court said they can now teach them in school. So parents are asking the question, how do we explain this to our children? The teachers are saying, don't worry, we'll teach them. So what will happen is a generation will come that will not know that the definition of marriage is between a man and a woman. That's why they're taking them from that level. I want to tell you something. What is education in God's definition? Is it school? This secular school? No. School is good. It's good to go there. Daniel went to the university and his friends. God's definition of education is that you take his laws. Do you know what they call the Torah, the 5 books of Moses? When Israel was in the wilderness, God saw that they were stiff-necked. He said, let me educate these people so that they can grow out of it. So he wrote the law and gave them as their education curriculum. The Bible said the law was a schoolmaster. A schoolmaster is a lecturer. So God's system of education was the Torah, the law, the Pentateuch, that you take the law and this book of the law shall not depart from thy mouth, and you shall meditate therein day and night. Mouth and heart connection. That's how you learn. You learn mouth and heart. That scriptural way of education, or scriptural system of education. The world came up with a system they call school, designed obviously by an occultic system. Who writes the textbooks that you use? This system they came up with that they call school. They also came up with another system that they call the job system. So the job system is a system that separates parents from their children. And the school system is a system that separates children from their parents. So you cannot have time to teach them the Torah, the law. You give them to the school to teach them what they want. Your children are good with maths, good with everything, but they are not good with the law. And that law is what God gave us for education till he returns. How did Jesus educate his disciples? He sent them to school? No. He opened the books. He opened the prophets and began to tell them, see where they talked about me. And he began to educate them, began to teach them the gospel of the kingdom. But we today, no. We are looking for school to get a job, for life to be good. Because that's Babylon. That's the system that Babylon designed. But let me show you wisdom from Daniel. Daniel held the Babylonian system on one hand and held the law on the other hand. So he studied the Babylonian system to excel in Babylon and studied the law to save himself and God's people. He said, I, Daniel, understood by books. So they use school to separate your children from you when they are young, when you are supposed to indoctrinate them with the laws of Yahweh. And now, school is teaching them all these things. You wake up one day and see that your child, you are a stranger to your child. When I think of these things sometimes, honestly, I get scared of having children. Because I told myself that until I'm able to come up with a system to be able to educate my child and shield him from this age, I should not have a child. And I'm working on it. Because Babylon wants to strip you of everything you know. The first thing they do is when you enter the Babylonian system, they take your identity, they change your name. When you enter the university, you say, this is my name. They say, no, you 10 something, something, something. That's what we know you as. You know that's what Nebuchadnezzar did to Daniel and his friends? He changed their name instantly. I'll tell you what the righteous should do tomorrow. So this is the Luxor temple. Now, this same Luxor temple that we saw, that is the temple where the Egyptians worship their pagan gods, the mosque has been built inside it.